Today we'll take a look at this Worldtimer from WM Watch. Yes, you heard me right, this brand is rebranding now in a subtle kind of way, and I will talk more about it in this review. But name aside, we have here very interesting, quite unique in a way, Worldtimer that ticks a lot of boxes, including one of my very important boxes: affordability. So what about the rest of the checklist? Well, the build quality, materials used and functionality, well, we have it here. Let's find out. Hello and welcome back. You might remember this Worldtimer from my AliExpress haul video a couple of weeks ago. Back then it was called Welly Merck Worldtimer. However, it looks like the marketing team from Welly Merck took the watch community feedback very seriously and decided to review the branding. Branding can be a bit tricky to get perfectly right, especially when targeting a global market. Mistakes do happen, and it can happen to the best of us. You might recall this Electrolux marketing campaign. So yes, now is the new name WM Watch is better, which is short for wrist moment? Well, time will tell. However, the MWM logo, which seems to be everyone's favorite, is here to stay, which I think is good news because I actually like it too. Okay, so let's look at the price first, but before we do, a quick disclaimer: WM Watch or Welly Merck provided this watch for review free of charge, and I get to keep it too. In return, I'll do my best to share a comprehensive review of this timepiece, and as usual, all the necessary links where you can find this Worldtimer will be in the description of this video. While the official price is somewhere around $125, this watch can be found quite often for much closer to $85 during the sales and between the sales from MW Watch's official store on AliExpress. Taking into account that most of the compressor-style watches that are reviewed on the channel so far usually push into $300 and above price territory, I think this Worldtimer is really competitively priced. Okay, so we do have quite unique, I would go as far as to say original design here. We have a compressor-style case with two crowns and a Worldtimer dial layout with rotating inner bezel. Combine this with a set of premium materials like sapphire crystal, full stainless steel construction, plus automatic mechanical movement from a reputable manufacturer, and we have a very solid value proposition here. There are a few key points though that I think we should mention about this Worldtimer before we look at it in more detail. First, I like that they made the case comparatively slim at 12mm, which will help to get a good wrist fit. Second, the Worldtimer functionality not only gives this watch a unique look, but also it is quite usable, although it is not as versatile as your mobile phone. And third, we have here a very unusual lume coverage. However, to me it is more of a show party trick, but we will take a closer look at it shortly. And also, I really like the packaging, especially this reusable travel case, a really useful accessory for storing and traveling. Alright, dimensions. So we have case width here of 40.9mm, case height of 12mm, nice and slim, lug width of 20mm, and lug-to-lug distance is 49.1mm. We do have protruding end links, so measuring between them we get end link to end link distance of 53.3mm, which might sound a bit on the high side. However, the end links do curve down really well, which combined with a slim case and almost flat case back ensures a comfortable fit on the wrists, starting probably from about 6¼ inch and up, and of course we can always swap the bracelet for a strap if we need to. As supplied, this bracelet will cover wrists up to 8¾ inch or 22 cm in circumference, and this watch weighs 157 grams as supplied and 137 grams after adjusting it to my about 7-inch wrist. So we have an absolutely flat sapphire crystal covering the dial on this watch. I couldn't find any mention of anti-reflective treatment on the product listing, so I guess it is safe to assume that there is none applied. Still, the legibility, or should I say the visibility of the dial, is pretty good in pretty much most conditions. The legibility is completely different matter, of course, which might take a bit of time to get used to on this particular dial. Taking a closer look at this case, and I must say that the design and the finishing are actually very good. The case is shaped really well with almost flat caseback and quite aggressively slanted downwards lugs. We have a full stainless steel construction, and the finishing of the case constitutes a combination of satin, brushed and high polished surfaces, and I think it's done very tastefully. We have here a polished fixed bezel with brushed top of the case and brushed flanks, and on the sides of the case we have well-defined high-polished chamfers on the top and on the bottom. The transitions between the facets are very smooth and the case feels really well put together. On the back of the case we have a screw-on exhibition caseback with specifications around the perimeter. Miyota 8215 that's used here isn't the most interesting movement to look at, however, personally I think it is better than just a plain sterile cover. We of course have here two crowns, the sign crown at 4 o'clock position for a normal operations like setting the date, time and winding the watch, and the second crown at 2 o'clock position which operates the rotating inner bezel. Both crowns are well proportioned and have a nice gear-like grip which works well with the overall aesthetics of this watch. My only concern here is that while we have declared very practical 100 meters of water resistance, both crowns are actually push-pull and not screwed down. Having said that, I actually do have a few watches in my collection that have 100 meters of water resistance and push-pull crowns, so in theory it is an entirely plausible claim. So, as I pointed out earlier, we have Miyota 8215 automatic mechanical movement here. Miyota 8000 series isn't the sexiest movements to look at, however, it is a reliable and reputable movement that has been around for years. This is a hackable movement, that is, the second hand will stop when we pull the crown into the second position to set the time. It also beats at 21,600 vibrations per hour and has around 42 hours of power reserve. So it's hard to deny that the dial is the most standout feature on this watch. The background is the map of the world, or probably more accurately a map of the northern hemisphere, as if we looked at it from the North Pole perspective, with the latitude and longitude lines crisscrossing throughout the dial to complete the geography map aesthetics. We have applied indices, and as we would expect on the Worldtimer, we have a set of world cities around the dial and rotating inner bezel that would allow us to set our current time zone and then be able to deduce the current time in those cities based on the numbers on the bezel. Like for example, I am in London right now, so I'll set 0 to my home city, London, and then if I want to see what time it is in New York, the bezel position tells me that it is 5 hours behind, and therefore if it is approximately 11:25 AM in the morning in London, then subtracting 5 hours from that number we get 6:25 in the morning in New York. Okay, this doesn't account, of course, for daylight savings, time changes and whatever other time zone intricacies that your smartphone can easily do. However, it is still somewhat functional and it will allow us to track another time zone at a glance. As for the dial aesthetics, I think MW managed to capture that spirit of travel really well. I like the color combination of cream and white markings on a blue background with red accents, which is mixed with high-polished metal hour indices and date window frame. And I really like the prominent set of hands. Not only these large button-style hands improve the legibility of this quite busy dial, these hands also remind me in some way of aircraft wings. So yes, a real traveler watch. And of course we need to talk about the lume. The lume is strong and bright, however everything lights up on the dial, including the world map and the half of the bezel. And it is actually lasts a while, however the hour indices and hands where it actually matters don't glow as bright and eventually run out of steam. I mean, with the background glowing in the dark we kinda still can figure out what time it is or where the hands are, but I think we could do here with a bit more lume on hands and indices. So the bracelet on this Worldtimer is actually surprisingly good. I am saying surprisingly because I'm still mindful of the very affordable price point of this watch. It is a solid 316L stainless steel bracelet. We have nicely sculpted solid end links which integrate with the case very well. The bracelet has a combination of high polished and brushed surfaces, and the solid links are also mirror polished on the sides. We have pins connecting the links, which makes the bracelet adjustment tool that MW provided in their packaging very useful, and we have a simple and robust butterfly clasp. The bracelet tolerances are very decent, and we also have a slight taper here down to about 18 mm at the clasp. There is no branding on the clasp, which is kind of okay. However, my biggest complaint here is absence of any half links or any means of macro adjustment. It's kind of a usual pitfall on the butterfly clasp bracelets. I was kind of lucky and I managed to get a more or less snug fit on my about 7-inch wrist. However, it would be nice to have more flexibility. So, what's my verdict? Okay, you can argue that this is not a perfect watch. However, there are quite a few things that I like about it. Like, I like that it captures that sense of travel and adventure. I also like the originality of the design, and I also like that Worldtimer functionality is actually usable and not a gimmick. And I especially like that I can get it for about 85 bucks. What are your thoughts? Well, do let us know in the comments. And of course, don't forget to do all those YouTube things like this video, and of course, don't forget to subscribe. Take care, and I will see you in the next video.